Hello, my friends. How's it going today? Well, I just woke up from a little nap. Well, it really wasn't a nap. It was more of one of those half-waking dream states. And I guess looking back, I guess it was a couple hours, but I didn't really feel like I was asleep. Now, these states are some of the most desirable states for me to achieve. I really enjoy that half-awake state. It allows me to dream and process ideas, yet still not be wrapped up in either being in too deep a sleep to where I can't really utilize it or remember it, or being too awake to where I'm not actually getting in deep enough. But anyhow, there are several ways to achieve this state, and I found in the past I've had several experiences, usually with substances, a particular substance, or maybe the day after taking something, and they can be achieved, of course, in sobriety as well. But there seems to be certain states of mind that are reached through substances, and kratom is my example. When I first tried kratom about 7 years ago, I remember laying down and having kind of this, I'd been taking it a couple days, but I had this, one of those waking dream states where I was like, wow, and I was awake but not awake, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite, places to be. But that tended to fade away, and I don't really get that too often. This morning I tried a new strain that I haven't tried before, and it was like a dark green, heavier strain, and it hit me really hard. And that doesn't happen very often. So I went about my day, and I was pretty motivated, got some stuff done, and then I got that tail end of it, and I decided to lay down for a bit, and that's when I went into that. Wow. It was... I'm not going to sit and try to describe the dreams and ideas I was having, but it really got me thinking about what an impact dreams have on discoveries and on history. And you may not realize how much you can learn from yourself in a dream, but also, if you're paying close enough attention, you can pull some amazing ideas out of the hat. I have these two books that I grabbed just as my example books that I read, because about 6 years ago, I was really into lucid dreaming. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. I became so obsessed with lucid dreaming. I had a voice recorder by my bed, and anyone who's ever wanted to practice lucid dreaming, there are some tricks that really make it work. If anybody who's looked into it will, people will say, look at your hands in the dream. Don't get too excited, because usually when you realize you're dreaming, you wake up. Of course, what I'm talking about here is a little different than lucid dreaming, but you can do several things to practice lucid dreaming. I used to get up at 5 in the morning, and then I'd stay awake for half an hour and read this book, the Lucid Dreaming book, and then I'd go back to sleep saying, I'm going to remember my dreams. And for a while I woke up and I would take notes in a journal, but that requires grabbing a pen and the paper and looking at it. So I bought one of those little cheap voice recorders, a little digital one that had easy to feel buttons, so I could just grab it off the nightstand and just lay there when you wake up. Before you open your eyes, you lay there for a minute and just think about it. Because that 5 minutes is so crucial, even 1 minute that you think about what you dreamed about. For example, the only dream I remember last night I had was that we had this dog. It was like a brown pit bull type cocoa-colored dog, and it was rolling around upside down, scratching its horn. It had a giant rhino horn coming out of the top of its head, and I was thinking, how can a dog have that horn without hurting himself? Because it's like scraping it, making that hollow sound. These dreams are so real that we have. We create such an amazing picture. It's not like, everybody's had a dream where maybe you're just looking at one person or an object, but the dreams that are full of detail, your mind is creating this whole amazing land in your head, and it blows me away. This is the power of creative dreaming. This was one of the first ones I read, and it's from Pamela Ball. I don't remember how accurate or effective it was, but I do remember the whole idea was describing, lucid dreaming and how to do it. This one is a little bit off the beaten path and a little different. This is called The Art of Dreaming by Carlos Castaneda. Carlos Castaneda is the author of the teachings of Don Juan. Don Juan was supposedly this Mexican, what you would call, a sorcerer who he learned from. And there's a lot of controversy to whether or not Don Juan existed. None of that really matters. What matters is that the information that he talks about, it's kind of, it's iffy, some of the names he uses and the ideas. But when you look at all the rest of the cultures combined and what they believe, you see that it's just metaphors for the same thing that we hear throughout culture. And so I wanted to make my example. I just Googled up something really quick, which is 10 dreams that changed human history, because I've read several things. If I'm not mistaken, the invention of LSD was by Albert Hofmann, and LSD 25 was called that because it was the 25th version of a compound that he was working on. And if I remember correctly, he was looking for a decongestant. I believe he was looking for a decongestant. And he had a dream one night, from what I recall, that for some reason he woke up thinking, I need to try that 25 again. And so he went and grabbed it off the shelf and experimented, spilled some on himself, soaked into his skin, and the rest is history. There's that famous bicycle ride home. Now, don't quote me, that might not be accurate 100%, but many dreams have created amazing discoveries, and with that one, it always led me to wonder if that really happened. Was there some unknown force or energy directing him to that? Why would he have a dream about that particular one? Is it a connection that we have to the materials that we're utilizing? Does his mind know the structure of it because subconsciously, because he put it together? We'll never know. And so this is a quick 10 dreams that changed history. Mary Shelley came up with Frankenstein after she had a crazy nightmare. And so I'm gonna just flip through them. Paul McCartney had a dream. He woke up and composed the entire melody for the hit acoustic song Yesterday in a dream. He said he woke up and he asked his friends and families if they've heard it before, and he initially thought that he was replicating someone else's work, which is known as cryptomnesia, which is you remember something but you don't realize. And if you're a musician or a guitarist, you've probably written a song that you've heard before and not even realized it. And I play acoustic guitar, so I've written several songs where it sounded like something else. Niels Bohr, The Structure of the Atom. The father of quantum mechanics, Niels Bohr, often spoke of the inspirational dream that led to his discovery of the structure of the atom. Let's see. Okay, the son of academic parents, Bohr got his doctorate in 1911 and gained notoriety for deciphering complex problems in the world of physics that had left his colleagues stumped. In time, he set upon understanding the structure of the atom, but none of his configurations would fit. One night, he went to sleep and began dreaming about atoms. He saw the nucleus of the atom, with electrons spinning around it, much as planets spin around their sun. Immediately on wakening, Bohr felt the vision was accurate, but as a scientist, he knew the importance of validating his idea before announcing it to the world. So he returned to the lab and searched for evidence to support his theory. It held true, and Bohr's vision of the atomic structure turned out to be one of the greatest breakthroughs of his day. So I got to say that for that one, there's still a huge dispute about whether or not, his picture of an electron spinning around an atom obviously isn't correct. We know that now. It's a little more complex than anything spinning around something. It's more like the electron could be at any one point. There's a point where it could be or is most likely to be. But the point is that he had the idea and started to understand how these things work. Now look, I was a carpenter for 15 years, and I remember going to sleep at night and having dreams about how to fix a problem. I would have a very complex cabinet to build or something that I needed to finish, and I would just wake up at the start, like as I'm falling asleep, and be like, aha, now I know how to do it. And this is what scientists believe that this is why many scientists believe that we dream in the first place, because contrary to what you may believe, they still don't know why we sleep. They don't know exactly what happens. Sure, tissue gets repaired, but is that something that can't happen when you're awake? Of course not. If the human mind and if the human body wanted to structure itself to heal on the go, then it would, and it did. But the thing is, we know that the reason why we sleep is probably obvious. Throughout history, there has been a nighttime where we can't really get anything done because it's dark. So naturally, we would sleep it off, wake up in the light. And, you can use the explanation that melatonin is produced when the eyes don't get enough light. All this is true, but that doesn't explain what happens when we actually sleep. And what a lot of folks believe is that our minds process and file away different thoughts and ideas. And for those who have had psychedelic experiences, you may have felt this before in that psychedelic state. For example, with MDMA or ecstasy. I will take it medicinally, and I will sit and process information. And one time I remember seeing all these little boxes of ideas and my thoughts, and they were just being filed away. I wasn't consciously doing it. It was almost as if I stepped into a room where something was going on, as if I invaded my own private mind. I was like, oh, sorry, step back out. And I know that may sound weird to some people, but that's what psychedelics allow you to do, if you sit and pay attention. And that's why they're such a useful thing. Let's see, what's number 4? Elias Howe, The Eye of the Needle. In 1845, Howe invented the sewing machine based on a famous dream that helped him understand the mechanical penetration of the needle. He was not the first to conceive of the idea of a sewing machine. However, Howe made significant refinements to the design and was ordered a U.S. patent. That's kind of funny because I can just totally see that, the average person looking at a sewing machine, it seems like a simple thing. But we go back to some of these inventions that we have and realize that they weren't simple things at the time. Looking in retrospect, oh yeah, sure. But something as simple as a record or a sewing machine are just amazing. Here's the number 5 is Albert Einstein. Einstein is famous for his genius insights into the nature of the universe, but what about his dreams? As it happens, he came to the extraordinary scientific achievement, discovering the principle of relativity after having a vivid dream. As a young man, he dreamed he was sledding down a steep mountainside, going so fast that eventually he approached the speed of light. At this moment, the stars in his dreams changed their appearance in relation to him. He awoke and meditated on this idea, soon formulating what would become one of the most famous scientific theories in the history of mankind. Pretty interesting, huh? There's another one. Srinivasa Ramanujan, the man who knew infinity. The mathematical genius made substantial contributions to analytical theory of numbers, elliptical functions, continued fractions, infinite series, and proved more than 3,000 mathematical theorems in his lifetime. He stated that the insight for his work came to him in his dreams on many occasions. He said that throughout his life he repeatedly dreamed of a Hindu goddess known as Namakal. She represented him with complex mathematical formulas over and over, which he could then test and verify upon waking. One such example was the infinite series for pi. That says a lot right there. It's very interesting to think that math is based on a series of numbers. Mathematical concepts could be rationed in the mind subconsciously but not be presently available in the conscious mind. And that's pretty fascinating, to think that perhaps each one of us really knows and understands all these deeper equations, assuming you know the meanings and the letters and what stands behind the equations. But that's pretty interesting. Let's see, Jekyll and Hyde was written after waking from a dream. Nerve impulse breakthrough from Otto Loewi. Wow. It says, in 1921, Loewi dreamed of an experiment that would prove once and for all that transmission of nerve impulses was chemical, not electrical. He woke up, scribbled the experiment down, and went back to sleep. The next morning he arose excited to try his experiment, but was horrified to find out he couldn't read his midnight ramblings. That day, he said, was the longest day of his life, as he tried but failed to recall his dream. The following night, however, he had the same dream repeat itself, and upon awakening went directly to his lab to prove the Nobel Prize-winning theory of chemical transmission on nerve impulse. Here's a famous one. August Kekule. A prominent German organic chemist, August insightfully dreamed of the structure of the benzene molecule, which, unlike other non-organic compounds, had a circular structure rather than a linear one. This new understanding of all aromatic compounds proved to be so important for both pure and applied chemistry that the German Chemical Society organized an elaborate appreciation in his honor, where he described the dream that inspired the breakthrough. And that one's interesting to me because the benzene ring is a hexagonal ring that has several places for other molecules to attach. And when these molecules attach in different positions, this is what creates terpenes. Terpenes are otherwise known as scents or smells. So when you smell a lemon, you smell an orange. When you smell some Palo Santo wood or some sage, these are all the terpenes that you're smelling. And those terpenes are within the essential oils. And like when you smell cannabis, it's the exact same way. And those terpenes are all slightly different variations on a benzene molecule. And by switching one molecule, or a compound, you switch one molecule to the other side or move an atom around, you've got this you got a whole new element, or sorry, a whole new, why am I brain farting? You got compounds, elements, and, I guess it doesn't matter. This is what happened, molecules, sorry, brain fart, totally. Oh, I'll show you what the benzene ring looks like so you know what I'm talking about here. That's it right there. I'll show the picture, so, very cool stuff. I like that kind of stuff. And, this guy found another breakthrough in a dream. He revealed how to develop insulin as a drug to treat the condition of diabetes. That's a pretty damn significant one, if I do ask. If I don't ask. Anyway, pretty amazing stuff. Just thought I wanted to kind of discuss that because I think that all of us have had dreams like that. I think we can all learn from each other and figure out what these things mean. We kind of give ourselves insignificance sometimes, thinking a dream's just a dream. But try to apply that dream to what you're doing in your life and see if it can benefit you. See if it's actually useful in what you do. And talk to you.